Hi everyone, my name's Loughlin and today we're going to cook some roast potatoes. Now we aren't going to do these roast potatoes the normal way or the everyday way. Today we will do them Hasselback style. Now what Hasselback is we make lots of small cuts, get lots of contact area, and that gives us a super crispy roast potato. So I have everything laid out in front of me here. Obviously my potatoes, I've got some duck fat. Duck fat and potatoes, you know, hand in hand, they go together really well to get the absolute best potato, best crispiness. Obviously, if you have vegetarians in your family, stuff like that, you can swap this out for olive oil or any vegetable oil, that will work perfectly fine. Some salt, salty spuds is always tasty. And we're going to add some garlic and some herbs as well. So garlic, some sage, some parsley. I've also got some ground sage powder as well. And that will just give it a bit of extra flavour, which will be really nice. So the first thing we need to do is, depending on your duck fat and how it's situated, you might actually need to put this into a pan to heat it up. So we've actually popped that into the recipe that you need to heat this to melt it. We actually don't need to today because it's so hot in this kitchen that it's completely melted. So I'm skipping a step there. And you might also, if you're cooking this in the middle of summer, your duck fat will be quite loose as well, but see how you go there. You may need to melt it if need be. The next thing we need to do is cut our potatoes Hasselback style. So some of you may know what Hasselback is and some may not. And essentially, as I said, we're popping lots of cuts into the potato. So you have potatoes like this, any different size, it doesn't really matter. Basically, when it comes to roasting a potato, there's lots of people, you know, they ask me all the time, what is the best roasting potato? And ultimately, I don't think it matters too much as long as you have a fresh potato. At the end of the day, a fresh potato is the best potato when it comes to any style of cooking. Mashing, roasting, you know, boiling, all that sort of stuff. So I've got some Dutch creams here today. Desirees work fantastic, Kiflers work well. So really just go to the market, grab something fresh, and you know, it's going to work really well. Grab a skewer if you can, and your potato. I'm going to show you a few different ways how to cut these. So basically grab your skewer, press it into the potato, and just push it through until it comes out the other end. So what we do now is we place it down that way, grab our knife, and just cut some incisions, and the skewer stops our knife from going all the way through. Then flip it around. So cut incisions every 2 to 3 millimeters thick if you can. Pull out that skewer carefully. And now you can see, when I break that open, we've got really nice incisions. So ultimately, when it comes to crispiness, only the surface on a potato or a chip becomes crispy. But now we've got more surface area, so the fat or the oil will get right into those little cracks and we'll just get the crispiest roast potato ever. So this will take a little bit of time to cut all of your potatoes. Once they're cut, pop them into a bowl. So I've got a bowl here to the side. But then you might also have some really big potatoes like this. So what I do for that is I cut it in half like so, then lay them down on the cut surface, grab some chopsticks, and similar to the skewer before, this stops your knife from chopping through. So it's a little bit trickier because you need to hold on to the chopsticks as well. But place this down and slice all the way through, or as far as you can, and you'll be getting the exact same result. So take your time, get it as thin as you can, and once again, when we crack that open, you'll get like so. And sometimes it'll snap, that's okay. You know, try and keep them as whole as you can. So I'm going to work away here. I'll cut through all these potatoes, and then we'll mix through the fat and the herbs. Okay, so I'm on the last potato now. So this is taking me probably 5 minutes, thereabouts. But if it takes you 10 minutes, don't worry about it. As long as you get them chopped, all well and good, that's the way to go. Beautiful. So now bring the bowl close to you. I'm going to add some sage powder. I've got a couple of teaspoons here, so just sprinkle that in, and some salt. So I'm popping the dry stuff in, good pinch of salt. We will also season these at the end, so let's not get too over the top at the start. and just work this in at the moment. So try and get those dry sort of additions mixed through pretty well. Now, we are going to add a couple of tablespoons worth of chopped parsley and chopped sage. So be pretty rustic about it. Rip some off. I'm going to do this together. This sage here is huge. So merge the herbs, scrunch them up in one really tight ball. I'll move this bowl so we can see what we're doing. And just give these a rough chop. Excellent. Add these to the bowl with your potatoes. I will also add my garlic. So I'm just going to crush this, take out 2 cloves. I'm going to leave the skin on and just give these one really, really good crush. So place your knife on top with the blade facing away from you. Give it one good crush and it completely obliterates the garlic. So pop that in, like so. And the garlic we won't necessarily eat, but this is going to add some really, really fantastic flavour. So once again, we'll just give this a really, really good mix. And now we need to add the duck fat. So it's about 150 grams thereabouts. Now in this bowl, I've emptied out a whole tin, which is about 400 grams or so. So I'll add about 1/3 of that. Now, when we're cooking a roast potato, there's a few things that impact how crispy they become. Number one is the amount of fat or oil that you use, because that is the conductor of heat. So if we don't use enough oil or fat, there isn't anything super, super hot in contact to give you that crispiness. The other is how hot your oven is. So behind me here, I've got the oven preset to 190 degrees on fan plus, and I've also activated the crisp function. And finally, it comes down to how long you cook them for. So these potatoes will take roughly 40 to 70 minutes or so. So really get that fat mixed on in, like so. I've got one of our great gourmet oven dishes here. So I will place in these potatoes and everything else and get this spaced out really well. And these roasting dishes here, which I have, these are the best for roasting potatoes, and I would always roast my potatoes in a dish like this. Reason being, it's such a thick, heavy dish and it conducts loads of heat, and that will just give you, once again, a crispy potato. So I'm going to pop these into the oven behind me. I'll set a timer for about 50 minutes. I'll then have a look. I might need to turn them potentially, and yeah, roughly an hour or so, we'll have some amazing roast potatoes. So it's been about an hour or so now, which is about fair enough, I reckon. These potatoes are looking amazing. So I'll pull them out now. So I don't know how well you can see, but these are looking super, super crispy. You might be able to hear that sizzle. So they're sizzling away in that duck fat, which is just excellent. So now all we need to do is plate them up. So grab yourself a nice plate or bowl or whatever it may be, and just use some tongs. Grab them out. Look at how beautiful and golden these are, and these will crisp up amazingly well. Any leftover duck fat you'll be able to pour off and use in your next batch of spuds or anything that you want to use them for. So that's great. We are using a fair bit of fat, but you don't actually consume that much, so they still don't become that unhealthy, which is great. So pile these up. Then we do get lots of little crispy bits from where they fell down. I'll pop this to the side. And I like to just finish these off with a bit of salt. So sprinkle on top. You know, you would salt chips if you just cook those, so it's exactly the same concept. And there we have it. So we have some amazing sage and garlic Hasselback roast potatoes. This is an absolute cracking recipe, and I know you will love it.